The standard way to measure grip strength is so-called dynamometer. On Larry Wils's channel, a huge man weighing obviously over 242 pounds did only 119 pounds on this device, which is a little more than the recommended norm for an average man. I don't know about you, but to me this man does not seem like an average. Look at the palm of an athlete named Khalid and compare it to a woman's hand. This athlete was able to squeeze 251 pounds with his left hand. As an example, Larry Wills only managed to squeeze 218 pounds, although he has been training professionally for the last 11 years, taking all possible kinds of supplements. But anyway, the guy with the big palm just tears it up on a dynamometer. Of course, someone will say that 251 pounds is nothing, and that is why the following information is going to be very useful for you. Let me remind you of Captain of Crush expander I told you about. Well, there are only 11 of them, each harder in compression than the last. It means that the lightest expander would have a capacity of 59.5 pounds and the heaviest 363.7 pounds. As you understand, I tell you all this for a reason. On the official Iron Mind website there are statistics about what athlete and in what year was able to close this or that exam according to the rules of the Armlifting Federation. So let's compare the version Cock 3 with a comparison strength of 279.9 pounds and Cock 3.5 with the compression strength of 321.8 pounds. Well, a lot of athletes closed the top 3, which I did not count, but visually it is not difficult to assess. But now let's take a look at the results of the expander, which exceeds the previous one by only 41.8 pounds. And we see only 18 people. Here I did the math, but the math becomes even easier if we look at the Cock 4 with 363.7 pounds of compression strength. And here is the list is limited to 5 monsters, the last 2 of which were closing this miracle expander in 2004. 3 of them are Americans, 1 Englishman and 1 Swede. I decided to Google the last one to see what this monster by the name of Magnus Samuelsson really looked like. And this is what I have. Magnus is 53-year-old. He does extreme strength and arm wrestling. And you know, I was not surprised to learn that at competitions he broke his opponent's arm. For example, in 1995 he broke the shoulder bone of Nathan Jones from Australia using a side twisting technique. Of course, it was not a consequence of his powerful grip, but I just had to read this to let you know that he really is not a weak competitor. Magnus's height is exactly 2 meters, and his weight during competitions reached 343.9 pounds. By the way, an interesting fact is that this actor was supposed to star in the movie Gladiator for the role of Maximus's rivals, but the athlete refused the role.
And don't forget to subscribe because it helps our channel to grow. No, seriously, it's easy, right?
But let's get back to the expanders. I found a video on YouTube where Magnus was approached by reporters and asked, "Did you really close the Cock 4?" And he answered, "Yes, I did." And then they took the very same expander out of the pocket and offered Magnus to squeeze it. The athlete was not shy and with the words, "Why not?" he did it for the camera for several times in a row. Grip strength, as you understand, is not measured only by expanders. In arm lifting there are a huge number of various directions, such as rolling thunder, which means lifting weight with the one hand by a rotating handle and holding extra weight by squeezing a coin between handles of the above-mentioned expanders. And then there is so-called Apollon Axle hold and just countless number of other adaptations. But what's the point of all of this, you may ask? Grip strength is rather a subdirection in a sport, which is derived from the already known to us strength disciplines. Anyone who lifts deadlifts with record weights without straps most likely has a strong grip and most likely trains it, which means he can take a part in arm lifting competitions in addition. This direction also combines well with arm wrestling, and even in calisthenics the grip is extremely important. Whether you are doing dynamics or just pulling up on a chin-in bar, your grip will directly determine your confidence in the approach and the final result. If you do not believe me, try to go out on a slippery chin-in bar and do some pull-ups with something greasy on your hands. It sounds extremely stupid, but believe me, your results in pull-ups will decrease by at least 30 to 40%. At the same time, spread your hands with magnesia for better grip, and on the chin-in bar you will do 15 to 20% more from the usual result. That is why the grip is important and must be paid attention to. Now let's talk about the guy who was in a preview. After all, you must have been waiting for the information about him. So his name is Mark Felix, and he is a 12-time champion of the Great Britain, as the strongest man on the planet, and he defended his last title in 2020. This man has won so many championships that it would take several more episodes to list them all. So as usual, I will list only the accomplishments that will be of interest to us in the grip story today. And so deadlift without strap, 892.8 pounds. Holding the additional weight with Captain of Crutch 3 series for 43 seconds, lifting Rolling Thunder 323.4 pounds. And all this even though Felix is a vegetarian and 53 years old. So friends, the reason why I mentioned this athlete in my video is not just to show you his power. The fact is that back in 2008 Mark Felix himself recorded a video in which he demonstrated the length of his fingers. And it turns out that Felix has a distance of 28 centimeters from his little finger to his thumb, and it would seem that he should be able to do expanders perfectly at all. But as Felix admitted, in his case it was the opposite. That is the reason why he did not manage to reach number 4. But his grip is far from weak. Look at his record of holding Hercules poles, where Felix was holding the poles for a minute and a half. Just to let you know, the gap from the biggest result of the championship was more than 30 seconds. And what is that if not the grip power? By the way, the video with Felix hold on YouTube got more than 62 million views. I cannot believe that the subject of the pole holding will be so interesting for the wide audience. But whatever it is, based on what was said, we should conclude that the strength comes in absolutely different ways. And if you are not able to do some specific movements, it is possible that you will find yourself in something else. But what can I tell you for sure, it is necessary to train your grip. And a really strong athlete must be developed in a comprehensive way. Watch this video to learn how to create a competent training plan and what exercises are worth starting with. With you as always was Fyodor Chepki. See you later. Goodbye.